All right, first up in the Briarwood community, Becky Frederick. Come on down.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you for letting us speak this evening. I've got up here to speak in the past about the homeless population, and tonight there's a little bit more of a greater urgency than there has been in the past. So several community members from our neighborhood are here tonight. Over there. We've had quite a bit of things happening. So let me just kind of briefly give you an overview. About a year and a half ago is when things started, theft started. It's been getting worse as time has passed. We've all taken the preventative measures necessary. We started a neighborhood watch with the sheriff's department. We have a community Facebook page where we keep each other updated on things. We have people who walk their pets 3 and 4 in the morning and see people randomly walking through the neighborhood and tell them to get out of there and call the police. We have cameras, but it hasn't made a difference. About a week and a half ago, a car was stolen, and then the owners of the car found it at the homeless camp over here down the street from Inland Valley Hospital, across from the apartments. And then early this morning, someone's trying to get into one of our residents' homes, pushing the keypads and opening the door. Thankfully, another one of our residents saw the person walking down the street, called the police, and they picked him up. We know that there's an initiative on the November ballot that you're voting on tonight, and that's great. It's going to take some time for that money to come, or if it gets passed and to come. And we know you guys are working on things, but we really need help in our little Briarwood community. We only have 67 homes, and we're surrounded by a dirt lot, apartments, a hospital, and a homeless camp. So please, if there's anything else you can do, please, we need some help. It's scary. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead and get everyone up from your group here. Kim McKinney.
Hi, thank you. I definitely live in Briarwood, and I'm with Becky on what she said. I have many things to say that's similar. One of the things that happened to me that I thought was very strange, not being in my neighborhood, but I had to go to Inland Valley Emergency in the beginning of June, and I was in the waiting room in a situation where I was in pain and all that, sitting in the waiting room, and a homeless gentleman came walking over, cussing and dragging a blanket, and his pants were falling down and everything, and he came straight over to me. I was in the way back of the waiting room, and just freaking me out, actually. And he laid down on the benches right next to me, and I got up and I went to the security guy that's in the hospital at the very front, and I said, this guy's freaking me out, you know, and he goes, oh yeah, well, there's another one coming. You definitely need to move from that area, because there's another one that I'm setting over there. They need to sleep. I was like, okay. Anyway, so we're not only, you know, experiencing it in our neighborhood, which is the worst, because that's where we want to feel the safest in our homes, but you know, obviously in the outskirts and coming in the shopping center, they're always, you know, harassing at the medians and at the stores. I don't even ever want to get out of my car. So, you know, there's many incidences. My daughters walk from our neighborhood to Starbucks, and so they're walking so they can see in the encampment. They literally saw a bunch of homeless people, I guess, like with a bunch of Amazon boxes, doing whatever they were doing and everything. They called the cops. They tried to wait as long as they could, and this was in daylight, and the cops never came, and that's part of the issue. We try to do what we can, but you know, it's scary. We don't want to have altercations with them. So anyway, you know, we all have little bits and pieces of stories, you know, and stuff, but that's my personal experience. And it's scary. We have little kids, and you know, it's just very unnerving. So thanks for listening. I know it's a big problem for all of us. It's not just our neighborhood or anything like that. And we just if there's other things that we can be doing that we're not doing, we need to be educated to know, you know, so, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Paul Sheila?
Hello. I wasn't prepared to speak, but last night my house was the one that someone tried to get into, and it wasn't like they were using a pry bar or anything. They were punching the code and trying the door. So we could see who it was, so I knew it wasn't a big threat, but looked like he just maybe got out of the hospital. He had some stuff in a bag and a wristband on, so it's scary for us in our neighborhood. We moved here. There's young kids in our neighborhood, and we know the homeless need help. It's just all the time. If it wasn't for our neighbors, we talk on our little inside Facebook page and watch out for each other, and it's helpful. But when it happens on your porch, and your wife, well, she saved me. Watch that ring video. Just turn the volume down. But it's just scary for us, and I know, I'm an old guy. I'm not a young man bringing up a family, but I bet it scares them to death. We can take care of ourselves. If he comes in the house, I'm not getting so. But we don't want, we don't want him in our front door, knocking on the door, in our cars. We don't.
Absolutely not.
Not what we want. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry I wasn't prepared.
Right away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Chelsea Belinsky?
Wachinski.
Chinsky. Got it.
Close enough, it's okay. It's tough.
It's okay, I grew up with Benoit or Benoit or however else it might be pronounced, so yeah, I get it.
Sorry, I also wasn't really prepared, but of course I woke up at 5:45 on my day off to decide to look on Facebook on our group chat that we have in Briarwood community, and I watched the video of the 3 a.m. attempted break-in, and I continue on, do my days, and I come home through Nutmeg and Jackson, and I, of course, look at my surroundings as observant as I can be throughout my day, and I noticed the same man. So I was the one that had called the police. An issue that I had was that the Wildomar Sheriff's Department, I was told to go back to my house, as I said that to the 911 operator. Well, I'm following him. I'm trying to keep my eye on him as best as possible to not let him get away. And they said, well, just go back to your house. They'll talk to you there. So I waited an hour, as possible as I could, to just be patient, and they actually never came. So I decided, as my father is at CVS, tracking the man and making sure to keep an eye on him as much as we can to, help our neighbors out, and, I end up running into Marietta and their department and their officer. So their officer goes ahead, takes care of him. They said they knew nothing about it, of course, because they're not really connected with Wildomar, but it was sad to know that Wildomar never got back to me or met me at my house. After an hour and a half, almost 2 hours after the situation has happened, and myself has already taken care of it with Marietta, Wildomar finally calls me, and I had to explain to them that everything was already kind of taken care of. But that wasn't the main purpose of me coming today, but on a side note, I work very early in the morning. I get up at 3 a.m. and I go to work. So I don't know if it's going to take someone to be killed or to be attacked, but I'm a small individual that could possibly get hurt on my way to work, and I don't want that to happen, nor to me, nor to anyone. Neighbors walk their dogs, people are just out and about. We have a big, early commuters in our neighborhood, and we all need to get up and make the money so we can stay in those nice homes that we have, because we love our community. But it can't happen if we have those individuals trying to come in, and they can't, be taken away if we can break down those trees and get their stuff out of there. maybe they'll go to someplace else or just get help. But thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. James Juco?
Good evening, Mayor and everybody on the panel. I am James Jugo. I live on 24620 Teakwood. I am a resident. I take care of my mother-in-law that owned the car that got stolen on my driveway last week. We made a report and we ended up finding it in less than 24 hours. My son-in-law saw it on the side of the road where the homeless encampment was. He called the police. The guy that was loitering around the car had took off, and when the cops came, they found a lot of stolen goods from Elsinore, a stack of credit cards, purses, computers, drugs, paraphernalia, blood droplets all over the front seat. Seemed like they were shooting up or something. And till now, it's been a week. My mother-in-law hasn't been in her car, which is kind of sad because she feels like she was violated, pretty much. And this problem that we're having, like it's been said, it's been going on, and it's getting worse. I know Wildomar is a small city. I've been here for over 20 plus years. And when Wildomar became its own city, I was excited. And now 10 years later, I want to stay in the city. It was hard for us to get into a brand new home in our community of Briarwood, and I'd like to stay there. I have kids, grandkids, and our whole community is family-based. So that's everything that happened to us. Whether there's other things that we've seen on our Facebook page where everyone's watching, everybody has cameras, we have lights, we have dogs. I mean, I don't own a firearm, but that's like the next thing, and I don't want to come to that because I don't believe in violence. But if you guys can help out in any way, even surrounding cities, Elsinore, Marietta, I know if we can all work together somehow and get rid of this problem, it would be great. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Danielle Pedroso?
Hello, my name is Danielle Pedroso. I also as well live on 24620 Teakwood Court in Briarwood community. My mother was the one that had the vehicle stolen. My husband already spoke on that, so I'm not going to touch bases on that. I just want to share a couple of my own personal experiences before that had happened and before us even moving into Briarwood. I actually work in the Albertsons Clinton Keith shopping center at the Dillon Group there. We've had several incidents where every morning we're having to call the police officers to come out to remove the homeless that are laying up against our doors where we cannot get into our businesses. It happens all the way up and down. We go there at 7 o'clock in the morning, they're passed out. Some of them are throwing up outside, up inside the sidewalk right there where our business is. Some of us, when we come in, we do not want to touch them or anything, so we nonchalantly and try to be softly try to nudge them with our foot to try to get them to go over. Usually we have to stand inside the business with the door locked and not allow patients to come in until a police officer can come and move them out of the way. I also had weeks after a lot of times us calling the police in the morning just to get into our business. I was treating a patient in the operatory. You can see out, but nobody can see in. A patient saw it first, and I looked up, but he was in the corner of our flower bed, pulling his pants down, washing him in between his legs, lifting his feet up, putting his head in, got dressed, pulled his pants back up, walked over to the ashtray that was right there, picked out a couple cigarettes, grabbed the shopping cart, put the rest of his stuff in, smoked a cigarette, and turned around and walked away. The patients aren't wanting to come into our office because they don't feel safe when they're, around. They're in the parking lot asking people that are coming out to go into Fantastic Sam's or Albertsons or into the dental office or Wabba Grill for money. Another incident that had happened to me a couple months ago is me and my girlfriend had gone over to Denny's around 9 o'clock at night to get something to eat. We were uncomfortable when we were there because there was a group of 3 coming in and out, using the bathroom, walking out, sitting on the bench, outside, kind of loitering, asking people for money. Then they'd come back in, they'd go to the bathroom again. They'd sit out some of the booths randomly in the back. And then we were kind of observing, like, we can't believe that Denny's is allowing them to use the public bathroom, that they're allowing them to just hang out in there.
Right.
Well, when we left, there was a couple more that were sitting out there and the rest inside joined them. Well, her and I had gotten nervous and we kind of held on to each other to hurry up and walk as fast as we could to the truck because they were sitting out there, knives in their pockets, smoking cigarettes. One of them had a very huge blade tied with a rope around their neck. And we just hurry up and walked as fast as we could and got to the parking lot.
Did you ask the Denny's management why they were letting him in there?
No. We actually were pretty disturbed that as we were watching it, and at that time there was probably maybe 4 other groups of customers that were in there, and we were making comments like, I can't believe that they're allowing them to come in and out and actually use the public restrooms.
I've spoke with Denny's and they are not any longer, and the police are involved in working with Denny's to keep them out.
Okay, that's actually
Yes,
good to know,
Denny's
because
has
when
had a big problem.
and we don't actually.
They were afraid,
We don't go there that often ourselves, but once in a while you want to get something late night to eat, so we'll go in there, and we were observing it, and we were actually surprised that they didn't do anything about it. But it wasn't until we left and we looked over, and my girlfriend's like, "Do you see the knives on their pockets?" And I looked up, and the one that was on the bike had a big old rope with a big old blade just hanging off of his chest. And we just grabbed each other arm by arm and just walked as fast as we could.
I have to cut you off because you were 3 minutes. But thank you for
That's
letting
fine. That was thank you though for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Colleen Winston? Wisdom. Apparently need more wisdom for that. Sorry.
Good evening, my name is Colleen Wisdom. I live at 36652 Summer Dane Lane in Wildomar. Thank you for hearing me this evening, Council. I'll keep it short and sweet. I live in the Briarwood community as well. My husband has a truck that he commutes to and work and has expensive tools. About 3.5 weeks ago, his truck was broken into in the middle of the night, and $500 worth of tools were taken, glasses, various belongings that cost us kind of a lot of money to replace. We have had other things stolen from our yard, but it's just simple little things that we can replace. We had the gate, we have a side gate, and we have a pool, so we have a lock on there, and we left the lock on the gate, but unlocked for our pest control guy to come and spray. And that morning, actually, when I walked out to make sure that it was unlocked, the lock was off the gate and our gate was open, which is concerning when you have a pool. But the other thing was the same night as the theft from my husband's truck. So I just would like you to consider what we're saying here. We have been a target. Our neighborhood is on alert now. We don't know if we need to have safety patrols or what we need to do, but it's getting to the point where it's getting pretty serious after the incident last night. We're staying well informed. We have community groups that are looking out for each other, but I think we have a real big problem. I hope that we don't have any more thefts and before it gets to harming someone, injuries or worse. Because a lot of homeowners are getting guns, and I'd hate for it to come to that, but there's a problem. They're getting bold. Whoever it is that's targeting our neighborhood. I can't prove that it's the homeless encampment. However, if you take a walk over there, where are they going to the bathroom? It smells over there. It's bad. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you. So I'm going to make a couple comments, but first off, I have to
I'll tell you what my attorney's gonna do in a few seconds, he's gonna cut me off. We're not allowed to talk about items that aren't on the agenda. There is an item on the agenda though tonight on the consent calendar, item 1.10, which is a second reading of an ordinance that we've added to try and cut down on solicitation. At least that's the title. It also goes into trying to basically cut down on the homeless being in the shopping centers, getting them disincentivized to be in Wildomar, frankly. You're not the only group that's come in and complained about that particular camp. The industrial park just to the west of you there along the freeway has also come in and explained to us that they're seeing rising thefts and tracking it back to the same homeless encampment by the hospital. The hospital has been in to tell us the same thing. That property owner has not exactly been the most cooperative. We've had issues getting him to sign some letters to say, hey, these homeless people can't be here, so we're gonna take them away. He hasn't signed those letters, is my understanding still. He also has not been trimming the trees like some of you asked. He'll tell you that he's not allowed to trim the trees. There are limits to the tree trimming because it is an environmentally sensitive area, unfortunately. I know, lovely to hear. And of course, they're down there trashing it, right?
Not anymore.
Yeah. You can't win with some of these state laws. The other thing I want to tell you is the state laws have changed in the last 3 years. I'm guessing most of you probably already heard this, but it's become a moot point for these guys. It's a misdemeanor. They collect them all day long to steal anything they can. If it's under $950 or even a car, they don't get basically anything more than a misdemeanor. And that was unfortunately all enacted by the voters years ago. So there was a ballot measure coming forward, but I think it failed to gather enough signatures to change that. But it's something we drastically need to change in California. We need to make breaking the law again, because right now it's not, and they are targeting all of us. I wish I could tell you you're the only neighborhood that's come to tell us all this. No, we see it across our communities. We're seeing it in the communities around us. Now, we're doing everything we can. We want to do more. And someone mentioned the sales tax measure. Did you get Nancy? Yeah, yes, okay. That's something that could help this. So we want to do more. We're doing what we can. I want to come out and meet with you guys. Maybe at an HOA meeting, I'd be happy to come. We'll bring Dan Ann, our police chief, back there along. We also we have a coffee with the mayor and Dan Ann that we just had one a couple weeks ago. We have another one coming up. I encourage you guys maybe to come there too. We could talk about this some more, but unfortunately before Tom beats me up, I gotta stop. So, okay? Thank you for coming.